Good morning, everyone. This is Kelly. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning on the 4th of July. And while I had this opportunity, I thought I'd give everybody a quick update on my garden. And not a whole lot of things new this week, other than the fact that had some growth and whatnot. But I thought I'd give everybody a panoramic view of my yard. So, with that being said, I'll walk out to the garden here. Along with my dogs playing, and just kind of walk everybody through. First of all, I want to go over here and show you my strawberries. They are really kind of sprawling out really well. As you'll notice, I have a few strawberries coming in. I can't believe it. It's been pretty hot, and so pretty happy about that. These are raspberries. They kind of got attacked by the beetles, and I've been fighting them ever since, but they're still doing okay. But the bottoms of them, I need to trim off those leaves. Here are the cucumbers, both the bush style, which are getting quite big now, and there's several in there. And then these finally took off, the ones that are going to be vining up. They're already starting to attach to the trellis and go on up. So that's pretty neat. It just took them a while to kind of get used to it, I suppose, but that's going to happen, it looks like. Here is the cantaloupes, and the cantaloupes have really started to take off as of the last few days, about a week. But there's plenty of blooms in there, and they're doing quite well. Pretty happy. Watermelon. Actually, I've got a little watermelon right there on that end of that vine, and I've got one over here on that vine, if you can see it. There he goes. So, and then there's one on that back vine too, hanging. So that one's doing quite nicely. Pretty excited to show some fruit on there. My grapes pretty much are dead. The beetles won, I think, unless they have a second wind, but that's just not a whole lot I could do about it. Here's some more cantaloupe, and as you can tell, it's doing really well and starting to get big, and hopefully they'll grow up that trellis and everything will be great. Zucchini squash. These two plants, as you can tell, are quite healthy. There's some small ones in there on this one, but there's two real good sized squash right there. So this has all happened just recently. There's a few things going on in there, but they're just smaller. But they're doing nicely, though. This is straight neck squash, yellow squash. This is the largest plant I have, and there's the largest fruit I have. So, and there's other small ones in there, but that one's getting quite big. There's its little brother, and as you can tell, has probably tripled in size since my last video, so it's coming along, and I'm sure it'll catch up real soon. Butternut squash is doing well. See a big flower on the top of that one today, and another one that's getting ready to pop out, so that's doing quite nicely. This is the okra, and there is okra starting to pop its neck out on top of these blooms, so it's finally starting to show a little fruit. I transplanted my last 3 cantaloupe plants into this bucket. I grew them from seed, and I just didn't want to throw them out. I did finally have to throw out a few, but I went ahead and put them in here and see how they do in a bucket. I transplanted the cauliflower in here. I put 3 of them in there because they get quite big. So those seedlings are doing well. I grew them from seed also, so I'm pretty happy. The beans are really starting to flourish, as you can tell, and I planted these over here about a week later than these over here. But I actually had to add, I don't know if you can make this out, but I put string, actually that's twine, and I looped it around the top of the post at the top and connected it to the trellis, and they're just growing up that twine. So rather than just going ahead and putting another metal trellis on top, I just went ahead and just kind of, winged it, and it's working fine. Here is some peppers. This is yellow peppers. These all my pepper plants have been kind of slow to come around. The beetles kind of attacked them pretty good, and so they're coming around finally. But and this is a green pepper one down there. It's finally showing a little health. This one, as you can tell, got quite attacked by those beetles, but it got new growth here and here. So it's coming around. I got some new growth up top, so pretty happy. Lettuce, we keep harvesting it, so I'm going to keep eating it. Here is a Sweet 100. As you can tell, I got all kinds of tomatoes coming out on this Sweet 100. I planted it a week or two after everything else, so it's doing well. First couple of tomatoes on this big boy. If you can make those out, there they are. I planted this the same time as the Sweet 100. Been harvesting radishes. Going to go ahead and pull the rest of them probably later today. Here is jalapenos right there. Probably going to have to take a couple of those off today. Darn. So I got an idea from somebody on, I can't remember their name, on YouTube that said put a weight on this thing because it was growing into the bottom of the barrel or the bucket, and I went ahead and just clipped it on here with some washers, and then this thing's not attached to the actual vine, but it's just in the little circle part. So, but it's working and it's growing better now. Same thing with this pepper. These are red bells, and they're doing okay. I got some coming out there, and I've actually harvested a couple off this one. And same thing over here. I've harvested. You can see there's one missing. There's a big one there, and it finally got to the point where I had to take it off. Okay, on the tomatoes, lots of growth. That's a Goliath. Lots of growth. I took the lids off of everything, as you can tell. I just felt like it needed more air to get to the roots and whatnot, so I went ahead and took everything off. It's easier to water that way too. And Beefmaster, they're coming along, and I've got some new growth at the top and some more flowers coming out on it. Here's the Roma grape. I actually had to take some twine and hold this thing up. It was starting to lay on the ground, and I didn't want it to lay on the ground, so I just connected it around here, ran it up, and looped it up around this shelf bracket that I had. Worked out good. So it's doing well. As you can tell, this one here is starting to turn red, so I should have tomatoes there soon. Here is the Husky Cherry Red. There's a nice red tomato. Look at that. Another one coming in behind it, and everything behind here, it's growing in behind the bucket, which is fine with me, but it's just kind of hard to show. Another one in behind there, below. I'm going to actually pull that one off today. And then finally, we got Better Bush. They're doing fine, as you can tell. There's lots of growth in there, lots of tomatoes to eat as soon as they turn red. And then my experiment of cucumbers growing out of the bottom of this bucket is doing very well. As a matter of fact, I think you could see we've got a few cucumbers in here somewhere. Well, I may not have time to do this, but anyway, they're in there, trust me. They're growing, and I'm not going to trellis them up until they just absolutely need it. So, with that being said, there is the update. I hope it didn't bore anybody because there's not a whole lot of things new other than growth. I will check back with everybody in another week or so. Everybody have a happy 4th of July.